Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today. That was an incredible couple hours. Some great discussions from our partners and presenting sponsor, the Kroger Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation, along with a whole bunch of folks that we really enjoy having with us, folks from different foundations like ReFed and World Wildlife. And now we're going to do a little spotlight on one of our core partners. We've got Olivia, our culinary director, who is part of the Nourish Foundation, one of our local nonprofits. So please give me a hand. Let me hear if you can hear me. Clap and whistle and say hello for the Nourish Foundation. Olivia, tell us about the Nourish Foundation. What is the mission?
Honestly, our mission is to get people into the culinary industry with no debt.
Wait, get into an industry with no debt.
And a certificate that can get you hired at any restaurant in the nation. We are trying to solve the problem of getting people from underprivileged communities into the food industry without staging and doing all those things.
Wait, what is staging? For folks in the audience,
Yeah.
Does anybody here know what staging is? Raise your hand if you know what staging. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see a couple hands. Tell everyone else.
Have you staged? You've staged. I'm sorry.
What is staging?
It's working for free for a chef who is training you. But let me tell you that when I started, I had to steal every piece of information that I needed to get to the next level. And it becomes a way to get free labor. It becomes a way to, if you're doing it right, you're training people, you're helping them get somewhere. A lot of organizations take advantage of that. They're getting paid, the staff is not. They're supposed to be paid in knowledge, experience, and support. So we're stepping in to do that as a foundation. And we've actually partnered with an online school and a bunch of people here in Austin that pay livable wages so that you can do your labs, your training, and get paid. That's the difference. Staging is working for free for a chef.
And the Nourish Foundation provides an on-ramp for people who want to get into this space. They have access to that knowledge without having to work for nothing, with resources, with mentorship, with community. That is amazing. Now, as someone who worked in the restaurant industry years ago, people who haven't worked in the restaurant industry don't get it. When you're behind the scenes, it can be hot, long hours, hard work, especially if you have a chef or a manager who is not the most friendly personality. And we've all seen some, TV shows with angry chefs yelling at people.
Oh my God, yeah.
That really happens.
We don't work with any chefs who do that. I go in and I meet every single partner. We talk about it. If I get a bad vibe, as the kids say, it's not happening. Like, if you're not paying, you can't have our highly trained staff. It's not fair. It's just not fair. We're here to make it an equitable industry, and the only way we can do that is by setting an example and building a model that people can emulate. Because you know what? At first they thought I was crazy, and now everybody wants to do it too. So bring it. The best thing you can do is compete.
So, and one of the things that we really like, because Olivia's our culinary director this year, she's working with us to help connect us with local chefs and local partners. One of the things that really separates what you're doing and what the Nourish Foundation doing from a lot of other groups is that emphasis on making sure that the people that you're working with have the ability to have a living support system and living wages. Talk a little bit more about that and how you have seen the impact of that on the people that are going through this program, through this process.
Yeah, so the Nourish Foundation was born out of just something that I was already kind of doing, and much to the chagrin of anyone who's ever lent me money or invested in my stuff, until I can turn them around and they go, oh my God, the food's amazing, everyone's happy, I had such a great experience. And I'm like, because they're getting paid, because they can drive here, because when you're not riding a bus and living on nothing and getting paid in alcohol after your shift, like, it's just such a weird industry where, you know, you're just putting out all this work, you're using up your body, and you're not getting paid the way you should be. Everyone out there is getting paid, so you know. All of the food being served today, everything is
And that's not the case. That's not the case at a lot of events here at South by Southwest. Big culinary shows, big wine shows, and big food shows. So often, and this is, you know, a lot of folks who are in the creative industry, who are musicians, who are artists, they understand this mentality that people expect them to work for free, for exposure, for building your brand. Like, I'm going to give you a shout out on Instagram. No. That doesn't pay the bills.
I can't eat shout-outs. I can't eat likes, you know? And so because of that, you know, we developed a way to, it takes a loss. I will say that my two businesses have had to have a really steep ramp to be able to survive. I've had to really work hard to be able to sustain them because I have to take a smaller profit in order to share that revenue with the people who make it happen. So when I first started the foundation, I started talking to chefs all over town. We have some wonderful partners that actually do pay livable wages.
Give me a couple examples, because we love shout-outs. We love to spot.
Olame. Michael from
Yeah.
Olame, I swear, is an angel. And he takes care of his staff. He supports them. And we just agree on that. We agree that if we're going to make good food and we're going to charge a bunch of money and we're getting paid, I just don't feel right going home at night knowing that I didn't pay the people that showed up and did all this work for me. Because a lot of the most famous restaurateurs, they built these empires on the backs of the underpaid. And that's a fact. And I'll fight them in the street. But
well, and if you follow the news, restaurant news, just recently, and we talked about this, what it was not surprising for you to see this restaurant, and if you go look for it, you'll find it. One of the top restaurants in the world. They ended up closing down, and it turns out, like you were saying, right? It was propped up on the back of free labor.
Yeah. And, you know, we have a labor problem for the food industry, and we wonder why. We don't have to wonder. We pretend to wonder. We know exactly why nobody wants to work for minimum wage. And in some states, minimum wage is abysmal. You know, I came from California. Don't hit me. I've been here for 8 years. I helped you get into Brussels sprouts. But I never looked up the minimum wage. I just started paying people $15 an hour and didn't notice. And people were like, dang, and showing up to work. All of a sudden, they bought cars. They were just looking better. They just, like, felt better. It's a completely different experience when people are getting paid. And we pay tech people so much money. Why can't we pay the chef people? Why do we have to earn our way there? I know some James Beard award-winning chefs who treat their staff like absolute garbage, and that's not fair. How can you make good food without love?
Oh, yes. Give it up for that, because that is a quotable quote. I love that.
So that's what we're doing. We're solving that problem. We're getting people educated. We're giving them a way to defend themselves out there in the industry. You can say, hey, look, I know what I'm doing. You can pay me to do this, or I'm going to go find someone who does. And thankfully, we have really cool partners who do want to pay people and do want to hire them, and they want trained staff. So we're solving that problem. That's what we're working on first.
Okay, so for folks who want to know more about Nourish Foundation, for folks who want to get involved, if they love this idea of creating on-ramps through education, through professional development, through livable wages, what are some places and some ways that they can get involved and support the Nourish Foundation?
As always, money talks. And it will support our first cohort of 10 students. So one of them is actually going to be on stage later. I'm very proud of her. And, you know, we have businesses that are also supporting us, like the Brunch Club, like Little Mama's ATX.
Shout out to Heather.
Yes.
We love Little Mama.
FYI, Heather is now our culinary director. She will be mentoring students through. I didn't know she has a master's in education. There is a chef out there in the world with a master's in education, and we found her. And she wants to also change this because she had to work her way up the same way I did. And so really, I'm just trying to create solutions for people just like me. I think that in the words of Ricardo Semler, and I'm going to butcher them, but he said something like, there's no such thing as taking so that you can give later. It's like walking through a buffet and taking all of the food and saying, I'm going to give back later. You don't do that. You take what you need and you make sure everybody can eat. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is we're making sure that I'm not the only one eating.
I love that. I love it. All right, we are going to wrap this up. Is there the last thing, as a chef, as someone who appreciates flavors and appreciates ingredients and the art and the beauty and the magic of turning ingredients and things into something wholly new, tell us one thing that you've learned, or one thing that you have cooked with just recently that you think has potential, or you think more people should try, you think people should open their minds to?
So I think that a lot of the plant-based products that are coming up right now are getting a lot better than when I first started, for sure. We've all tried all the first attempts. But we've had some amazing products that I've tasted this year, in particular, and that are being tasted all over the room. And I think that those products are going to help us save the planet, and they're going to help bring down the costs of production in order to share those revenues and those profits with the people who make them. And I think as we get more technologically advanced in the food production industry, we can absolutely share those profits, scale better, and support more people into it. We're not going to get the buy-in of the public and the people who we need to work unless we share those profits. So I think that the plant-based community is doing a really good job, and I ask you all to remember the people and not just the animals. I know that we love the cows and we love all that, but let's remember the farmers and the people who pick the food too.
100%. Give it up for Olivia, the Nourish Foundation, for chefs who make your food, the chefs outside, the chefs right here. In just a little bit, you're going to get to try some food. Like Olivia mentioned, one of their students is part of the group today that's going to be cooking up some delicious food. So we're excited to all be able to taste the way that they are nourishing people in this community. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all.